Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon, and welcome to our deck profile on a Monday, which is usual. However, on this Monday it is unusual, as today was originally going to be the release date for the first episode of Jank Tank 2. However, we did decide, we posted about in a comment the other day, and also talked about it in our box opening on Saturday, for BT15, link in the description for that if you want to check that out. We did talk about it because I was away for a couple of days. Dan's been super busy, so we decided to delay Jank Tank 2 just by a couple of days to make sure that it's all edited and reviewed properly, and it's as good as it can possibly be. It's now coming out on Wednesday, the 21st, as well as Thursday the 22nd, and Friday the 23rd. So episode 3 is coming out on the day it's meant to be, but episode 1 has been moved to Wednesday, and episode 2 moved to the Thursday, just to give us a little bit of extra time. So do apologise for that. Hopefully next time we won't have delays to Jank Tank, because I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. It's a super fun format, but yeah, make sure to check that out as well. But our emergency deck profile, let's get into it. So something I built back in BT11 was Birds and Beasts, which was a combination of Phoenixmon and Marsmon. Both vaccines, both kind of had cards in the archetype that could search each other. Really, really cool. Now, however, we completely do away with the Marsmon stuff, and we are purely about the birds. So it is now time for the Phoenix to rise again. As I'm sure a lot of people are saying, because that's what Phoenixes do. But let's get into the card by card, first starting with our eggs. So nice and simple, we've got 4 copies of the BT15 Yokomon. So this one has an on delete, which is return 1 Digimon card with avian, bird, beast, animal, or sovereign. I will probably just abbreviate that because I'll be saying that a lot this episode. Other than sea animal, in one of its traits from your trash to your hand, which is really good because that facilitates one of our main combos in the deck with one of our new Tamers. I was also playing around with the idea of having a 5th egg and going for the BT11 Yokomon, which is an on-deletion. If you have a red Tamer, which we play a lot of Tamers in this deck, you draw 1. But I found when I was testing, I didn't really need it and wanted more to kind of shore up the fact that I was returning stuff from trash. So something you can play around with is this one, just to get that extra draw if you needed it. But we've also got a huge amount of searching in this deck, so I don't know if it's necessary. Possibly a bit of a win more kind of digi egg, but maybe try it out if you want to, guys. Right, going to the rookies now. So first up, 4 copies of the brand new and oh so good BT15 Biomon. My word, this is a great card. Start of main by trashing 1 of your birds from your hand. Essentially what you could do is then reveal top 4 and add 1 red card. Any red card. That's so good. Digimon, Tamers, options, you name it, Biomon searches it. Also, great and harassable as well. When a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory, which is really, really good. Helps us with continuing our turns, continuing our kind of offensive after we've done things with our bigger guys. And yeah, just brilliant. Absolute pain to get. Didn't get a single one in my box of BT15. Spoilers if you haven't watched that. But great card. So glad I managed to get 4. Next up, we've got 4 copies of the BT11 Biomon, which is a great searcher in its own right. It reveals the top 3 of your deck as an on-play, and adds 1 red Digimon card with the vaccine trait, which all of our red Digimon are vaccine Digimon, as well as also 1 red Tamer. So really, really good. On deletion effect in the inheritable, which is if you have a red Tamer, you gain 1 memory. So again, helps us with facilitate that kind of memory gain. Something to really note as well is this deck's not even at its full power just yet. BT16 is where it's at. These on deletion effects with the new BT16 Phoenixmon X which I'll flash up on screen now. That turns all of your on deletes into, I believe, on attacks or end of attacks. I can't remember for definite, but the right text will be on screen. Promise you that. But it essentially, all of your on deletes manage to have 2 ways of being able to prop, which is really cool. So something I really want to play with. But for now, great card. Just the on deletion effect, but still cracking like a bird's egg. Brilliant. Anyways, what's wrong with me? Anyways, BT15 Biomon is next. And this is a great card. It helps really speed things up when we need it to, so long as we've got our Christie Daemons out. So if this gets played out by an effect, which you can do quite regularly through one of our Tamers and through some of our Digimon, essentially you can use this to warp into a Garudamon in your hand, ignoring the Digivolution costs and without paying the cost. Now this is great at the moment. However, when we do get to the aforementioned BT16, this will not become as useful because it specifically digivolves into Garudamon, not a Digimon with Garudamon in its name. So by BT16, when our main level 5 will become Garudamon X, bam, there it is on screen. It's going to be a little bit less useful, but for right now, it's great. Really helps to speed up things. If you know, with your late recovery, go into bring out a surprise level 5 just out of nowhere. Really cool. And then as an on deletion, allows you to draw 1, which is a shame that first effect is kind of hold that back, because if by BT16 you still use this, that on deletion could potentially be triggered with your attacks. So really cool, but soon to be, well, I say soon to be, a couple of months away, so relative, but at some point it will be kind of replaced. I think a lot of people in Japan have been using like BT1 Ogumon for BT16, but anyways, enough about BT16. This is BT15. Yeah. Anyways, next up, Champion Time. So we've got 4 copies of the BT15 Birdramon. This is really great for, again, recovering stuff from your trash, which we want to be consistently doing with one of our Tamers to keep facilitating our effects, keep getting more of our plays on the go. Really great. Has the same inheritable as its Biomon counterpart from BT15. When you remove a something from the security stack, gain 1 memory. Really, really good card. Next up, 4 copies of the BT11 Birdramon. This is a blocker, so really, really good defensively. Also has a great on deletion as well, which is you play 1 red Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the cost, and that's on deletion. We want to be making sure that our Tamers are coming out as much as possible, and all of them are kind of 4 cost or below. So really, really great in terms of bringing those out in terms of that synergy. Our last champion is 2 copies of Saberdramon, which I was so pleased to find out that this guy, despite the fact he looks, I'm saying he, could be a she, could be a they, who knows. The bird looks super like menacing and evil, because obviously it's the dark counterpart to Birdramon, but it is in fact a vaccine, and because it is red-purple, it's still red, therefore it can be searched by some of our stuff like the BT11 Biomon. It's also absolutely fantastic because it has an absolutely broken combination of keywords, which is raid and retaliation. So it can basically just choose to suicide its way into a really big Digimon. And then, although it will die from that battle, it will also take out that Digimon, which is extraordinarily good. Just a great staple card for a slew of different red and purple decks, but its best place is right here in the Phoenixmon deck. Next up, level 5s, we've got 2 copies of Garudamon Ace. I am looking to increase this. I've actually got 2 more copies of this currently on the way, but for now I'm working with 2. Extraordinarily good Ace card. This, as red Ace cards go, is what Metal Greymon Ace from BT14 wanted to be. This card is great. So on play, when digivolving, you may play 1 play cost 4 or less lower red Tamer from your hand without paying the cost. All turns as well, when one of your Tamers is played, so it triggers its own effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with blocker. And because that's all turns also, if something gets played from your security, that triggers that as well, which is really cool. Obviously, it is only deleting stuff with blocker, but that can still be quite crucial. You know, blockers obviously are one of the main ways of being able to defend your security in the game. So really good way of just clearing those. Like I say, I'm looking to possibly increase this. At the moment, 2 seems to be working okay, actually, which is annoying. But it is good. I mean, the one issue with it, by virtue of it being an ace card, is because a lot of your stuff is about deleting your own stuff, you then trigger your own overflow if you've got this underneath. So to be fair, 2 or 3, maybe the way to go. Originally, I was planning 4, hence why I've got 2 more on order. But 2 could very well be the way to go. Let me know what you guys think. Experiment away and just see what works for you guys. Next up, 2 copies of BT15 Garudamon. This is a card that I'd really love to have a little bit more of as well. And the reason being is because this card is another Tamer creating card. On play when Digivolving, you may play 1 red Tamer card with a play cost of 3 or less from your hand without paying the cost, which is great. And then on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. Like, this card, despite the fact its Biyomon counterpart may not survive BT16, this one may very well still survive because of the fact it's quite generic. That deletion inheritable of deleting one opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less is also really good because it's an on-play as well. If you're cheating this out by playing it through one of your effects, that it triggers just as much as it would when Digivolving as well. Really, really great card. Potentially might even bump this up. But right now, my level 5s are kind of uber toolboxy. Because our next card is BT11 Garudamon. So this is exactly the same as the BT11 Birdramon. It's got blocker, and it has the on deletion. You may play 1 red Tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand. We want to be playing out our Tamers as much as possible. So if our larger Digimon do perish, then we can keep building stuff up. Bring out a Tamer for searching, bring out a Tamer to bring out more Digimon, bring out one for gaining memory on the next turn. Really, really cool stuff. And again, defensive as well, if in case we need it, which, to be fair, from my testing, this deck is a little bit on the slow side. It's not as quick as I would have liked. There are some potential ways I want to look at quickening it up. But that's all hypothetical at the moment. So having extra blockers, I don't think is a bad thing. The next one is the Real Flex Spot Garudamon I've gone for, which is actually 2 copies of EX1 Garudamon. Now, I don't think this is a very common tech choice in the Birds build. It doesn't do anything in terms of on-play or when Digivolving, it's just vanilla. However, I think its inheritable could be worth some merit. So when attacking, once per turn, when this Digimon attacks a player, gain 1 memory. Just gives you that little bit extra when you're on the offensive to continue doing stuff. Like we've got quite a few effects where it's like we need to gain memory. So if you've got this and the BT15 Birdramon and the BT15 Biyomon underneath it, when you're attacking, you gain 1, which is great. You've already gained 1 there. And then if you survive and you've taken away a security stack, then you also gain 2 more. So you're gaining 3 memory on the attack, which I think could make a lot of difference. So definitely trying that out. Granted, of these 4, it's the one that's come up the least in testing, possibly for good reason. Let me know. But I think this is quite a nice versatile. It's one of the great things about this deck, actually. It's almost a bit like Greymon, not in the play style, but in terms of the versatility. You've got a lot of different stuff that's available to you, all of which is kind of in archetype searchable. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of play this deck, which is extraordinarily cool. Right, next one, we go on to our boss monsters. So I believe we've got 4 copies of BT15 Phoenixmon. Now, when it comes to our level 6s, you can chop and change the amounts. Originally, I was going to go 3 and 3, but I settled on 4 and 3, mainly because that's what I own, that's what I've got, but also because I really like this BT15 one. I underestimated it originally, but actually it's great. So its main effect is on play and on deletion. not once per turn. So if you play it in one turn and then you manage to get it deleted in the same turn, you can prop this effect twice, which is fantastic. If your opponent has 3 or fewer security cards, delete one of their Digimon with the lowest DP, which is great. If you manage to on-play it, delete their Digimon with the lowest DP, even if it's just a little rookie. Then, if it gets deleted, you can then delete whatever is the next highest above the first deletion. So, which a lot of the times could end up being a boss monster, as I found in testing. So I think that's a really great effect. The other part of this effect as well is if they have 4 or more security, you trash the top of their security, which is awesome. And again, not once per turn. So if you're going up against a deck that has a lot of recovery, or you decided to swing this into something to prop the on deletion, I don't know why you would necessarily. I guess if something was like the same DP, and it was like a good 1-for-1. But you can potentially trash security twice in one turn, which is really, really, really good. Trashing security is the best way of getting rid of security in the game. Just a fantastic way of dealing with stuff. It also has a when digivolving effect, which is you may play 1 red Digimon with 5000 DP or less, or 1 red Tamer card from your hand without paying the cost, which is actually pretty good. So the red Tamer way is irrespective of play cost. So 4 cost Tamers, 3 cost Tamers, doesn't matter. You can play any of those red Tamers. Really, really good. Then in terms of the 5000 DP or less, all of our champions are 5000 DP or less, which is really cool. And then obviously all the rookies are, so we can play all of these out for free, which does come up and is really, really cool. Next up, we've got 3 copies of BT11 Phoenixmon, which honestly, of the 2, is still kind of my favourite. But I find having this at 3 works better, and having this at 4 works better. Reason being is that you want to see this so you can cheat it out via 2 different ways. One of them is one of our Tamers, the other is this card, and then you want to have this at 3, just so you're not running into over this, I guess. Like I say, you can kind of chop and change the amounts here. You could go 3 and 3, you could go 3 and 4, 4 and 3, whatever. I've gone 4 and 3 just because I'm just testing that out at the moment and I like it. But this Phoenixmon is really cool. When a card is removed from your security stack, you may activate one of this Digimon's on deletion effects. One of. So it doesn't have to be the on deletion of the Phoenixmon. It can be the on deletion of the inheritables as well, which is really cool. Its actual on deletion effect is you may play 1 red Digimon card with the bird trait. Avian, Beast, Sovereign, all the others as well. Except Sea Animal, not Sea Animal. And 3000 DP from your hand without paying the cost. Now, obviously, playing something up to 3000 DP doesn't sound that great. However, depending on the amount of Tamers you have, you can add 2000 to that maximum. So just 1 Tamer increases that to 5000 DP, which suddenly means all of your champions are up. And 1 additional Tamer means adding 1 extra for a level 5. Bearing in mind, all of these guys have 7k DP. So just 2 Tamers means you can then play one of these. Then, if you've got 4 Tamers, you can actually play out the Phoenixmon, because it's 11k. So really, really cool card. I love this Phoenixmon. I loved it back in BT11. I love it now. I'm so glad to be back on birds because it's such a funny deck. Even more funny now than back in BT11, just because of how much just random stuff it gets up to. But I love it. We've then got no level 7s, so we're going to move straight to our Tamers. And star of the show when it comes to Tamers is 3 copies of the new BT15 Sora. This card is really, really fascinating to me as memory Tamers go, because it actually essentially bounces itself when it does its effect. So it has an all turns effect, as well as also starting your turn with 3 memory. All turns effect, when a red Digimon card returns from your trash to the hand, by returning this Tamer to the hand, you may play 1 13,000 DP or less Digimon card with the aforementioned traits from your hand without paying the cost. Then for each of your opponent's security cards, remove 2,000 from the effect's playable cards DP maximum. So at the start of the game, this won't do too much. It'll just play out a rookie, which to be fair, isn't that bad, because if you play this out with it, you can then warp into one of your Garudamons, which is really cool. But as the game goes on, you can play bigger and bigger and bigger Digimon right up until you get to your Phoenixmons, and you can do it quite regularly. It's very easily searchable because we've got one Digimon which just searches any red card, one Digimon which searches red Digimon and Tamers. So it's very much searchable. And like I said, we are playing a lot of Tamers in this deck. Case in point, 4 copies of BT11 Akiho, who is yet another searcher in this deck. She reveals top 4, adds 1 red Digimon card with vaccine in the traits. Also, when you do play a Digimon with the aforementioned traits from via an effect, by suspending her, you can then give that Digimon Rush, which is awesome. So you can just swarm the board with all of your different birds. You can go full on Alfred Hitchcock on your opponent, just have massive amounts of birds everywhere, give them Rush when you're playing them out. Exceptionally cool. I love this tamer. It's great to see a tamer that does search, especially a tamer that searches for 3 costs. That's quite rare. Really, really cool. Then next up, we have 4 copies of Christy Daemon. Originally, I was going to play less of her, and then I realised she's kind of busted for this archetype. Start of main, if you have a Digimon with aforementioned traits, bird or avian, actually, just bird or avian, so she doesn't do it for the beasts and stuff like that, unlike the rest. You gain 1 memory, which is great. So if you set your memory to 3 with Sora, and you have one of these out, you get up to 4 memory, 5 memory, 6 memory, so on and so forth. Then on play, 1 of your Digimon gains on deletion. You may play 1 Biomon from your hand or trash without paying the cost until the end of your opponent's turn. So if one of your birds dies, so say for example, put it on Saberdramon to do the retaliation raid shenanigans, because then this would perish. You can then use it to then bring out a Biomon, bring out this Biomon, bounce the Christie, go into a Garudamon. Really cool stuff there. Then the last 2 cards in the deck are 2 copies of Wings of Love. I'd be really tempted to play this card more, but these are the only 2 copies I got from BT15. But essentially, it's a 2-cost tamer play. You play this for 2, play 1 of your red tamers without paying any of the cost. Then, if you've got Sora in play, you return 1 red Digimon card from your trash to hand. So it's extremely good, because essentially you can play out Sora with this effect. Then, because you've got Sora in play, you return something from trash to hand, which then prots your Sora, so you then bounce the Sora back to hand, bring out something else, possibly play out Sora again. It's just so fun! It's a really funny deck. I absolutely love it. I don't expect it to take over the meta, but it's balls of fun. It's so good. Let's talk about some tech options. Obviously, we've already talked about the Yokomon. I do want to play around with the BT1 Birdramon to get some more security attack +1 in the deck. I think that would be really cool. Another way of possibly boosting security attack, if I can find him, because he's in my Greymon deck at the ready. I've only just thought about it. I was thinking about putting him in. Would be, once I get to a copy of him, is BT1 tied, just because it's a memory tamer that would actually stick on the board. Because of the one issue with Sora is, although she's a memory tamer, she does kind of hop back to your hand quite a lot. So potentially this could be a way of having a memory tamer that you have all the time. Again, it is playable. It's just a red tamer. None of the tamer playing in this deck requires names. It's just a red tamer with this cost. That's literally all you've got to worry about. So Tai is potentially a great tech option. Gives security attack +1 to your larger Digimon. Obviously, we do end up with some smaller stacks just because we're playing things via effects, but we will have times where we've got a large stack. So could be something to play around with. Another one, though I don't have it to hand, so I'll flash it up on screen to play around with, would be the BT14 Tai, just because it adds 2,000 to a Digimon with vaccine, red Digimon with vaccine, which could be quite good. Again, DP gain doesn't necessarily matter for this deck, because of the fact we kind of, a lot of the time we want our Digimon to actually delete themselves, but it does also have the same kind of effect as the BT15 Birdramon and Biomon, where whenever a security stack is removed, you then gain 1 memory. So that could be an option as well. Then a couple of options I've been thinking about for searching is offense training. It's, you know, obviously it's I'm kind of shocked it's not already in my list, just because I seem to be putting training cards in friggin' everything since BT14. But this could potentially work. It's searches everything that's red. Everything is red, so it searches everything. It also helps to cheapen our Digivolutions later, which is something I have noticed with this deck. It doesn't always have the ability to cheapen its Digivolutions and kind of have that speed. So this could potentially be a way to fix that. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'll try it, just because obviously space at the moment is very tight. So I'm not too sure what we would remove to try it, but might be something I do try. Another option, although it's not a red tamer, is Analog Youth, which is obviously it's a white card, but it's become very much a purple staple. But because of the fact we're wanting stuff in our trash, and this is a red deck that uses trash as a secondary resource, this could be quite good. So you reveal top 3, add 1 Digimon card among them to your hand, trash the remaining cards. So any remaining cards you put in the trash. So it means you can search whatever key thing you need and then put stuff in the trash for later to use. So say, for example, if you searched a Biomon, a Phoenixmon, and a Garudamon, you need the Biomon because you've got no rookies. Add the Biomon, put the Phoenixmon and Garudamon into the trash so you can add them back later. Could be something. Again, it's not a red tamer, so it's not searchable. It's not playable via our own deletions, so I'm probably erring to not using it, but it's just a random thought I had to potentially use in this deck. So it might be something we try. But let me know what you guys think about this deck, guys. It's a really fun one. And again, sorry that Jank Tank 2 has been delayed. I really hope you guys are looking forward to that on Wednesday. It has been a blast to get sorted for you guys, to get edited. I'm still in the process of actually editing episode 2 at the time of filming. So, you know, I hope it's all done by Thursday. It will be. It will be. But anyways, hope you guys like this deck. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Jank Tank 2, as well as also next Monday for our next dope deck profile. But until then, keep it digital.